Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. Um, the title of this video is, I think, America's obsession with being an entrepreneur. I think this is quite interesting because, I have some thoughts about this. So let's see what this video has to say about this. And then pull that baby up.
This week's video is sponsored by HubSpot. I don't need to tell you about all of the problems with celebrity culture, but America has a more damaging obsession that most people instinctively root for. Entrepreneur culture is costing everybody a lot of money, even if they never start a business of their own.
Today, thanks to the economic strategy, more small businesses are being created, and small businesses are creating more jobs faster than ever before.
I would rather work 80 hours a week to make 50K and work for myself than have a $75,000, $100,000 job working for somebody else.
Last year, Americans started 5 million new businesses, a 42% increase from pre-pandemic levels. Despite job market uncertainties and rising interest rates, more people than ever believe.
Um, that's a pretty interesting statement that I have had before. The idea of I prefer to work for myself than to work for any other person. I, as far as in my opinion, there are two ways to go about this. There are people who are terrible employees, but when they are like working on things that they're passionate about, they can put their all in it. Those people should just run their own businesses because they can't work well under anybody else because they have strong opinions on how things ought to be. That's a different conversation on like leadership styles and whatnot. But you have some people who are more in their zone when they are taking risk and making decisions rather than working under somebody else's decisions. And there are other people who like the idea of being an entrepreneur, but in actual application of it, not so much. So they want to be an entrepreneur because they imagine the entrepreneur life is like, wake up when you want to, set your own hours, and you don't have to work as hard, for the man, for the patriarchy. But it's not all it's cracked out to be because you have to even work more when you own your own business. And people like the idea of owning their own business, but they do not really want to own their own business. So let's see where this video goes on with that.
Now is the right time to start a business. The pressure from online thought leaders has pushed the narrative that trying to start a business has never been easier, never been more profitable, and even if you fail, you will be right back to where you started anyway. In a survey conducted by the HR and payroll platform Gusto, 1,600 new entrepreneurs were questioned about their motivations for starting a business. Being burned out at work and feeling the pain of inflation were the top responses. This is a dangerous trend that will leave most new business owners worse off than when they started, but entrepreneurship is still promoted as something that is a responsible way to fix these problems. Unsurprisingly, that's causing three big issues that will be costing you money, even if you aren't personally on your #grindset yet. The first problem is that most people simply suck at business. The largest demographic increase in new business owners was young people between 18 and 35, according to a study by the Harvard.
This is all super interesting. And yeah, I think I'll save the rest of the commentary for like a separate video that actually tackles this specifically. But on the topic of like the #grind set thing, because there's so many ways to be productive nowadays, start your own podcasts, YouTube channel, online websites, and it has shown to be lucrative for some people, and because of that there seems to be like a recipe that works, and then everybody wants to like dive into that because it's a recipe that works. The problem that I think there is, I don't know, will I call it a pressure, or just like everybody now has the feeling that if you are not being like a maximally efficient and the idea of maximum efficiency in productivity, then you are like losing something or you are wasting your potential in life or something. And I don't think that's the case. I think you should, one second, let me get this out of the way. I think just because you're chilling and enjoying the show, it doesn't mean you are wasting your life. There's more to life than being constantly productive, and even taking things easy in the long run can be productive instead of burning yourself out trying to meet a lifestyle or standard that at the end of the day is not even really yours. It's not something like you really want. You just want to live up to the standard that seems to be around you. You see a lot of news of like 20 something year old millionaires who started their own Airbnb at the age of 12. And by the time they are 16, they are multimillionaires and like making 15K a month. Those kind of yeah, those kind of stories. And it's like, yeah. I mean, $15,000 a month, and then just for people who are not like familiar with like the dollar system, that's a ridiculous amount of money to be making. So, and some people make that and they still feel like they're not making enough. So, yeah, let's keep watching.
Business review using US Census Bureau data, the average age of a successful startup founder at the time of launching their company was 42 years old. Founders below the age of 30 had a significantly higher rate of failure, and yet the top Google suggestion below this article was, is it too late to start a business after 30? A founder's experience and industry connections will play a big part in a new business's success. Between 1 in 5 to 1 in 3 startups fail within the first year, but there are some businesses that started by people with decades of industry experience that are almost guaranteed to be successful. A well-respected expert with a long list of clients that they can bring into their new business on day one will have a much higher likelihood of success than someone who started a business because they wanted to be their own boss and make a lot of money. Experts going into business for themselves to provide a service in a field they have worked in for decades represents a significant portion of new businesses. So that means that people that just want to be business people doing business things are going to have even worse odds. Businesses in trendy fields like tech, e-commerce, hospitality, and fashion have a significantly higher failure rate than finance, construction, and healthcare, where business owners are required to have industry experience and accreditations before they are even allowed to start operating. But if you are thinking about starting a business, you probably already know about the failure rate, and you are still wanting to give it a go either because you do have a solid business plan or because every piece of media has told you how amazing business owners are. What you might not know is why it's so important that you think this way. So it's time to learn how money works to find out why most people shouldn't be entrepreneurs, even when everybody says it's the greatest thing ever. This week's lesson was sponsored by HubSpot. I know many of you watching are business owners yourselves and know that being an entrepreneur is actually very hard work. You know the tools for being a successful entrepreneur don't come from a long post from some hustle bro on Twitter telling people how to become a millionaire by dropshipping.
I agree, but
Instead,
this is just like part of
we
an
read reports
ad.
from reputable sources like the State of Marketing from HubSpot. The report covers trends in email, content, and video marketing from leading experts and delivers insights on how you can adapt your marketing strategies to work in this new media environment. As many of you know, I've launched my newsletter Compounded Daily, and honestly, use hyper-personalization, conduct sentiment, actual action items that I can use to help me grow my email newsletter.
Goodness.
There's so much more you can use my link in the description. The first reason why you subconsciously
okay, now we're back.
Imagine becoming the best writer in the world at the click of a button. WordTune is an AI-based writing companion that can actually understand.
These ads are ridiculous. That's it.
reason why you subconsciously believe that you should be trying to start a business is that hustle bros are pushing you products that make starting a business look easy, but it's not. There is nothing wrong with companies marketing a competitive service to people who are in the market for that service. It only becomes dangerous when people are encouraged to enter the market when they find they had no intention to start a business in the first place. Everybody from boss babe MLM marketing to political campaigns hinge on making small business owners feel special, and those who aren't feel like they should be starting their business right now. People are willing to spend a lot of money on products that they think are going to help them start or improve their business, so companies want to push as many people into that market as possible. This market is highly lucrative and highly competitive. According to a 2021 study by the market data firm Straits Research, this market was worth $1.48 trillion in 2021 and is projected to be worth $8 trillion by 2030. These services typically have high margins in customers to keep their services for a long time because it becomes integral to their business operations, and the cost and downtime required to switch to a competitor just isn't worth it. The biggest barrier to these businesses is getting new customers into their service. Cloud storage and web hosting, for example, is a huge market dominated by three players: Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, and Google Cloud. Signing up big customers to these services is still handled by old-school sales managers who will earn a commission for every new client they sign up. That combination of technical skills and interpersonal sales ability means that top-performing reps can earn more than $1 million a year in commission. All of these companies have also invested millions into data storage devices to make migrating from one service to another as painless as possible for the few companies that do want to make the switch to a competitor. Amazon even has a data center on wheels that can hold up to 100 petabytes of data to migrate a company's storage to one of their data centers because it's faster to drive that much data across the country than it is to send it over the internet. It's a big business with big expenses, but it has equally big rewards for securing new clients. Although, it's a lot easier to just get new clients right as they start their business. Even if the deals are smaller, some of those companies grow. So a broad approach to potential new customers is a cost-effective way to onboard big customers in the future. Companies know if they provide a decent service at a fair price, most businesses are unlikely to switch over, so they will have a customer for life. Targeting people before they even start a business is a cheaper customer acquisition method than going after existing customers from competitors.
This also applies to like credit card companies, and like the way they start like almost preying on young people to like start getting like, oh, you get your credit card and these student loans and whatnot. It's like they target like young people that are just getting, they probably want to get their first card and whatnot. So they target those people because once you have a young, let's say a 16-year-old customer that's getting their card with your bank for the first time, the probability that when they grow older and they want to get more like professional and grown up cards, or maybe a loan to buy a house, those kind of things, they will probably stick with the same bank, except something goes wrong and they want to change bank. But most of the time, people just stay in the same banks that they are. So they target people for that reason. But at the same time, those people are not really in the best positions to be making reasonable decisions when it comes to credit cards, especially because people are generally woefully undereducated on the implications of credit cards, loans, and the impact that could have on you and your lifestyle down the line. In the same way, these businesses and people who help you to start your business and to keep it going, they come to the lowest common denominator, people who are just about to start a business or who are playing with the idea but are being encouraged to start a business, so that when you do start the business, you can start your business with us, irrespective of the fact that, or the probability that you don't really know anything about business and you're probably not ready to be handling the responsibilities that are being handed to you on the silver platter, that might end up doing more harm to you than good because you are undereducated and underinformed or misinformed about how the business or running a business actually looks like.
But this whole system relies on making it look appealing to start a business that would use the company's products. Now, this is a perfectly legitimate marketing strategy carried out by perfectly legitimate companies with great products helping great businesses. But unfortunately, it has also been taken too far by hustle bros with a course to sell you on starting your own business. They have changed the well-crafted narrative from starting a business is a risk you should consider to if you don't start a business right now, you're a loser that's going to work a 9-to-5 their whole life. It's okay if you don't want to start your own business, and
again, this is just my opinion. These are my opinions. It's my channel. But there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5. It's a job. And at the end of the day, somebody has to do it. There are a lot of jobs out there that for some reason, because they are not like braggable, you can't really brag about your job, as you know, you drive like the trash trucks to pick up trash early in the morning in the neighborhoods. Those people make a lot of money, but it's not a very prestigious sounding job. There are a lot of jobs, even the cashier at the store you go to, it's a job, and I believe it's a job like worthy of respect, just because if you do your job very well, you make a lot of people's lives just so much more easier. It's consistent, something you can count on, and depending on where you work, it might not be too stressful or something that you can manage. And people have like different strengths and weaknesses, and some people just prefer jobs that are straight to the point than trying to make like complex decisions and forecasting 5 years into the future for your business and those kind of thing. It's not for everybody. It's very stressful running a business. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but I don't think you should run into making a business because it's the new cool thing to do, or you feel like you're gonna be left behind if you don't start a business. You could just have a job, or you could just have a good job and find a way to like get promoted or get a higher paying version of that job. But you don't have to own your business if it's not something that's in the cards for you.
Probably a good idea not to if you have to rely on a course to learn how to get started, which is the second problem with America's obsession
That's a good point. Yeah, yeah. You probably don't want to invest like thousands of dollars into a business if your very first introduction to the idea of that business is you Googling, wait, oh, what is this thing about again? I mean, as far as I know, if you want to start a business, it should be something that you are interested in. So let's say you are in the construction, you do a construction worker, and you want to start a business involving construction work. You are already involved in it, and doing a business in that lane wouldn't be like out of the blue. There are things you need to learn, but you're already in there. But like me, um getting off my Spider-Man game, and like, you know what, I want to I have I hear people are doing a lot of business in the construction area, and I hear it's very lucrative, so you know I'm gonna hop on that. So first of all, what do construction workers do again?
with entrepreneurship. Starting a business comes first, solving a problem comes second. How many people do you think get listed every year on the Forbes 30 Under 30 list? Well, I don't know what your answer was because this is a video, but you're probably wrong because it's 600. The nonsensical naming convention is far from the worst problem with the list, with a suspicious number of former awardees ending up in prison for fraud. Sam Bankman-Fried, Caroline Ellison, Martin
Yeah, that's yeah. Yeah, there's a shocking number of people on the Forbes 30 over 30, 30 under 30 list that end up in jail. And I think it might be like putting a correlation that isn't there, but I think like the drive to become like a millionaire under the age of 30 and to have your name on the Forbes list, if you have that drive as a goal, there's a probability you'll also be willing to take unnecessary risk to make more money or do things that are not completely legal or unethical, just to, get that paper, make that bread, get that cheddar, and that spread. I don't know where I was going with those bars.
Grelly, Do Kwon, and Charlie Javis have all at one point been featured on this prestigious list celebrating their entrepreneurship, and all subsequently ended up in prison. The one and only Patrick Boyle covered this recently, and it highlights a larger problem that young people are being
I love this guy's channel. It's so monotone in the way it does. Look at me talking, but like I just like the way he just like talking facts and some like tongue-in-cheek sarcastic humor. But he's actually talking about like financial world and business etiquette and those kind of stuff, financial advice. and the way he delivers it is it's perfect. Patrick Boyle, I would recommend it. I would recommend this channel.
Being encouraged, celebrated, and rewarded for starting businesses, even if those businesses make no sense.
A lot of the winners, in fact, often the ones that seemed most impressive at the time, seem to end up going to prison.
People, especially young people, want to start a business without having the life experience to.
And that's the way he's gonna talk throughout the entire video, by the way he says that a lot of people, most of the time on the list, end up going to prison. He's gonna deliver the entire video in that tone, no matter what he's talking about. And I love it.
Who have seen industry problems that could be solved in a marketable way. There are always exceptions, but someone is much more likely to find a profitable solution to a problem if they have been dealing with that problem for their entire career. Gary Tan is the CEO of Y Combinator, a startup incubator that gives seed investments to very early stage startups and also provides training to new entrepreneurs on how to run a business and how to find further investors. Tan has frequently said that the best way to start a business is to work in an industry you're interested in, get paid to learn about that industry, find a problem, and then leave to solve that problem. Y Combinator's business model only works when people are creating new businesses, so this advice goes against his best interest, which is why exactly you should listen to it. The overly competitive state of venture capital has meant that even bad ideas get funded if the founders fit the mold of a disruptive creator that can be marketed effectively to further investors. Fake it till you make it is a popular expression, but honestly terrible business advice. A growing list of bad companies have changed, faking it until they make it, to fake it until they can drop it to the next group of investors with no intention of ever making anything in particular. Even businesses that don't fall in the sights of venture capitalists have the same problems on a smaller scale. People want to start a business, and they see that dropshipping or digital marketing could make it possible without considering what value, if any, they are providing to their market. If you want to start a business,
Hey, you ever seen a wealthy person or a wealthy family or a jet owner? Like, I got a jet, I'm sorry, you know? You ever done that, seen that,
This is
wondered,
perfect.
what would they do? What did
Hold on. This is I genuinely love it when this happens in YouTube videos. So let's say I'm watching a channel like Spencer Cornelia and it's talking about people who are doing like crypto scams and whatnot. And then an ad pops up and you know targeting audience. Ding ding. They're like, hey, would you like to start your own NFT? It's like something promoting a crypto scam. So again, we are talking about, grind set bros and hopefully like encouraging you to start your own business and, make that $50,000 a month business idea. And I can't, this is like the embodiment of that. Grant Cardone, yes, tell us about how to get our own private jet, sir.
they do to get it? And number two, what would they do to get it all over again? Or could they even get it all over again? Were they just lucky the first time? For probably 40 years now, I've been wondering the same thing. I see
It's good. That's
want to start a business,
that ad would have been a long-winded ad telling you about the stories and the complications and the hardness, how hard his life has been and how he got that idea. And because he had that grind in him, that dog in him, if you will, he was able to make millions of dollars. And you can too, irrespective of your particular or peculiar situation or what other responsibilities you have to handle. You can, and as a matter of fact, you should drop everything, quit your job, and buy his course, of course, and start your real estate with no money down and no experience and become a millionaire overnight. Because that's really all it takes to be a millionaire. Determination, good mindset, and a willingness to quit your job, neglect your responsibilities, and gamble that on the probability that you will get your own very own private jet in the next foreseeable future. Don't do it.
a good sign is if you can't believe that nobody has ever thought of your idea before. A bad sign is if you are taking someone else's idea because it looks like it made them a lot of money. Or even worse, they told you it made them a lot of money. With those
Bars.
problems in mind, the second reason so many people still want to start their own business is because modern corporate jobs are highly demanding and being your own boss is sold as a way to take back control of your life. Work-life balance is extremely important, and it's a big reason I quit investment banking to become a full-time YouTuber, much to the disappointment of my parents. But for most people, starting a business is going to mean much less free time. A survey by the publication Inc. of American small business owners found that the majority of them worked at least 50 hours a week, with 25% working more than 60 hours a week. Additionally, 70% of respondents say they had worked weekends on a regular basis. Once a business is at scale, an effective founder can slowly offload responsibilities, but that is an incredibly difficult process at a stage that most businesses never get to. Business owners may not answer to a boss, but they answer to their customers, their own staff, business regulators, and suppliers. If you decide to go into business for yourself, you will also have more personal investment in your job. If you want to take a break from a normal job, you may be able to organize vacation days, or you can simply quit and find a new job. It's a big decision, but you will only miss out on income. It won't directly cost you a major investment. If you run your own business, taking a break means shutting the business down until you get back, if it can be restarted at all. The final problem with the cultural obsession with entrepreneurship is that it is used as an excuse to gloss over a lot of bad practices in the name of progress. Some of the fraudulent businesses that were started by entrepreneurs that just wanted to be big business people doing big business people things have cost investors and clients billions of dollars. Others have put people's health at risk, and others have been reckless to the point of being deadly. Move fast and break things is another common expression amongst dumb startup founders. It's a term borrowed from programming where the best way to test something is to throw code together until it breaks and fix what went wrong. The phrase is an internal motto for the early days of Facebook, and it was an inside joke amongst developers to talk about shitty code that still did the job. Facebook itself changed this motto in 2014 to move fast with sustainable infrastructure, but the damage has been done. Now, everybody that fancies themselves the next visionary sees rules and regulations as nothing more than obstacles to be skirted around. It's barely acceptable practice for a tech company where the worst thing that can happen is service outages, but it's criminal behavior when it involves people's livelihood or their health and safety. Theranos, OceanGate, and FTX are just the failures we have heard about, but our obsession with entrepreneurship has let stuff like this happen for far too long. Red tape exists for a reason. Most of the health and safety regulations in America can be linked back to just one accident in 1904 that was unsurprisingly caused by opportunistic businessmen trying to cut corners to get their enterprise afloat. Go and watch my other video over on how history works to find out about the greatest tragedy in New York up until the attacks of 9/11. If you want to get these videos a day early and get daily articles that will never be made into videos on YouTube, then subscribe to my email newsletter Compounded Daily. And thanks again to HubSpot for making it possible for
Yeah, that was a pretty good video. Very informative, I would say. Yeah, it just I agree for the most part with everything that has been said, as far as I can tell from the first watch. There are definitely benefits of having a business, and if you want to have your own business, I would recommend, if you have something you're passionate about or you really believe in, you can go for it. But if you're just going into a business because, that's the cool new thing and people are making millions of dollars in it, I wouldn't recommend that as a good enough reason to take on the task of running your own business. Not to over like beat the topic, but yeah, great video. Yeah, the link to the original will be in the description. And yeah, thank you guys for watching. Deuces.